But one of the stories in the book I love is that thing of being off the telly, but not being able to choose when to be recognised. You know the story about...
When I was giving birth?
Yeah.
Yes. I'd virtually given birth to my first daughter, and, you know, legs akimbo as you are and all that biz. Door opens, in comes someone with an autograph book and goes, "Can I have your autograph?"
With a baby sort of
halfway out, yeah. Said, "Wait 5 minutes, she'll sign it and all." It wasn't some random person off the street. It was actually a doctor in another department.
That's
so
crazy.
unprofessional.
Because you were saying you get...
Well, the weirdest one for me is, have you ever been sort of accidentally insulted by a fan?
Many times.
Yeah. Well, but this is one I remember recently. I was queuing up for a cash machine, ATM,
right.
and I was in the line, and there was a guy ahead of me, and he sort of looked round, and he, "Oh, hello, mate, how's it going?" And he said, sorry, mate, could I get an autograph?" And I went, "Yeah, no problem." He went, "Oh, do you mind if I get a photo?" And he had a photo with him. And then he was next in line, right? And he went to put his number in. He looked back at me, covered up his PIN number. I was so insulted, because it's like, firstly, that he thinks that things are so tough for me, that now I'm, like, you know, I'm stealing PIN numbers and cards. But also that I'm such a stupid criminal that seconds before I rob someone, I have my photo taken at the scene of the crime. It was so insulting.
Because you must get... Well, we've heard the screams tonight. You must get a lot of attention now, a lot of...
I remember I did a movie, Matthew McConaughey, called Failure to Launch.
Oh, yes.
And I was at an Applebee's in Atlanta, Georgia, and this woman came up and she said, oh my God, can I have your autograph?" And I was like, I was really excited. I thought, oh, yes, absolutely. I'm so excited. And I write down, and she's going, oh, no, just put Matthew McConaughey. I went, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not Matthew McConaughey." "Oh, I know you're not Matthew McConaughey, but you work with him, that's enough, thank you very much." And you know what? I signed it. But I misspelled the shit out of his name.
That's brilliant. The thing that she was happy that you knew Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, that was it.
But that you still would sign his name on his behalf.
And I did it. That was a low moment.
That is fantastic.
Do you ever forget that you're well known? Because this happens. I used to have this trick that when I was a student that in order to not spend money on like the Big Issue or those charity people who sign you up, I would pretend to be foreign. So someone would come up and say, "Excuse me," and I'd be, "I'm sorry, I don't..." I don't know what accent that is. But it's sort of a French, generic European accent. "I'm sorry, I don't know who this, what..." And this would be my excuse. And just recently, someone came up to me again, and I just forgot I'd been on the telly, and I did it again. "Excuse me, would you sign up to Greenpeace or whatever?" "I'm sorry, I don't..." And the guy went, "Sorry, are you Steve Merchant?" At that point, you've got a decision, which is either to just admit what you're doing or to maintain the illusion. That's the one I choose. "I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. I've never seen the office, the bureau..."
When you were going through Times Square, did you meet a Beetlejuice fan?
Oh, yeah. This is tremendous. What happened was, I think it was the last shot of the film, and we're shooting, you know, well into the morning, and one of the guys on the crew says, "Michael, come here." And there's a guy standing there. Like this. You know, really bored, who had been on his way somewhere to his job or home from his job to see his girlfriend or someone or something, do something, I don't know what it was. So the guy grabbed him and brought him over. He said, there's a guy standing there, and the crew guy says, "Show him." He rolls his sleeve up like this, on flesh, an unbelievably well-detailed and really beautiful tattoo of Beetlejuice.
Actually, I think we've got a picture. I think somebody took a picture of it. There's the actual...
Yeah, look how good that is.
Look at that. It's amazing.
Isn't it? It's extraordinary. Yeah. And I go, holy moly, this is extraordinary. I'm looking at it, I'm going, well, I'm asking him all these questions, and he's just standing there looking, and then I finish, and he says, "You done?" And he goes like this. He rolls his sleeve down and goes over and gets back up on his bike and keeps on going. He never put the two together. He never went, "Oh my God, there, you know, here you are." Never didn't mean
I like to think, like, you know, 3 blocks down the corner and go, "Wait a minute."
So now that you know, here you are, the 11th album, and, you know, happily married, you've got your children now, but over the years, I mean, fans, you must have had kind of some wild fan encounters. Like, what is the maddest thing a fan has given you or done or whatever?
Herpes. Justin knows she can't get it twice. So, I'll get in a lot of trouble for telling this story.
Ooh.
Okay. So
It's not too late to back out.
It is! Shut up!
Sorry.
I mean,
Go.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling this, but I will. So back in the day, I was renting a castle, right?
Of course you were.
Yeah. Because that's my life. I was renting a castle, and we were renting it to rehearse in for a tour. And I was in this big room in this castle. I'd gone to sleep, and I'd woke up, and I was lying on my bed, and I was cognizant and I was awake, but I hadn't opened my eyes yet. And I was getting more and more confused because I could swear there was somebody in my room, and I could swear that they were sort of tidying up or cleaning or something. And sure enough, I opened my eyes, and there was a lady at the bottom of the bed. Now, and she could have been anywhere from 28 to 58. And she got this headset on, and it had got a sellotape on, and the lead went down to a cassette player. Now, we were way in the days of CDs at this time, and I was like, wow, this situation's really odd. But you just woke up, so you don't really know what's going on. And she looks at me, and I look at her, and I went, all right? And she went, all right. And she looked on the floor where my underpants were, and she went, Calvin Klein's? And I went, yeah. She went, I'm like, OK, this is definitely really weird. And she went, have you got Morning Glory? And this is back in the day when I used to have Morning Glory. So I was like, yeah. He says, I'll you off. Right? So I'm a creative fella, and I'm really young. I can close my eyes and pretend it's somebody else. So I was like, yeah, go on then. So anyway, she does the dirty deed, and it's confusing, and I felt defiled. And off she went on her merry way. And that night, I was with the lady that ran the castle. It was her job to run the castle. I said, you know what? I said, your cleaner's weird. And she said, what do you mean? I said, the cleaner that came in today, she's weird. She said, we don't have cleaners on a Wednesday. It's just somebody that had walked in off the street with a feather duster, come up and give me a and then left. But not only that, cut to, like, 3 years later, I'm with my band, and I'm like, and it was just a lady that had come up, give me a and left, and my guitarist went, no. That's Maureen from the pub. She said she did that, but nobody believed her.
Too soon? No, my friend. Too late. Right. That is... I mean, that's the best thing. We can all go home now. That's the best story.
Does anybody else
Just on my President Obama story.
I'll give you the address of the castle. Maureen will definitely come and visit you.
Because Claire Foy, you get quite an emotional reaction from fans, don't you?
Not so much fans, but one lady I met in a chip shop.
Right, let's go with that story then.
Just that one lady, the poor... I really enjoyed meeting you. Can I just say to her, wherever... She's not in the audience.
She's in the audience.
Yeah, if this makes it onto the show.
If you smell vinegar, she's nearly here.
But no, I was at the chip shop, And a woman came in and we started chatting because we were waiting. They were, you know, battering our cod. And we started having a chat, and she'd been on a Tinder date, and she was a bit drunk, and she was talking about how it hadn't gone very well, but hopefully they were going to be friends. And it was great. And then my mum FaceTimed me, and for some reason, me picking up my iPhone and talking to my mother reminded her of the Queen, and she went, "Oh my God!" I went, "Oh, this is." I ended the call with my mum, and she went, "I love you so much. I love you so much." And I think it was a combination between the chat we'd had previously, the Tinder date, the alcohol, the chip shop element that made the tears come. But it was quite. We cuddled. And that was it was a special moment for me as well. I mean, it was a depressing moment for her, but I loved it.
Tinder date's so much better, basically.
Yeah, you cheered up a Tinder date, didn't you? Yes.
I hope so.
Yeah, people tell the story and it ends with, and then...
I really hope she watches this.
It's so fantastically cheering to find a member of the royal family in a chip shop. Under any circumstances, that is a cheering thing.
We know, Daniel Radcliffe, you have a reputation for being lovely to fans. You're very sweet. You give your time very freely to them. But I read with interest that you are starting to toughen up now. You're being a little more discerning with your fans.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, wasn't there, like, you were being generally nice, but you were the friend, and she kind of went, you know that...
Oh, yes, right. Well, yeah. Well, because I think when you, like, start acting at a young age, people expect you to be a total all the time, and that's the kind of the expectation that you sort of always find yourself coming up against.
Yeah.
And so I think all my life I've, like, been really, like, worked hard to not be that and to be, like, as far away from that as possible. But that has sort of sometimes meant that, like, you can be really rude to me, kind of, and I'll just be like, yeah, fine. I'll just be like, I won't really, like, notice that you've been rude. And sometimes, like, people will come up, and, like, 99% of the time, when people come up to you and ask you for something on the street, they are really very nice. And then just occasionally, like, someone will come up and somebody said, can I get a picture with you? And I just, you know, just saying words, not meaning anything by it. I just said, yeah, of course, if you want to. And she just went, well, I wouldn't have asked if I didn't want to. And I was like, and of course I was like, oh, no, of course you wouldn't have. Silly of me. Come here. And then, like, she left, and my girlfriend was with me, just like, that girl was a to you. Like, you don't need to, like, you need... So she's given me, like, a little bit of sense of, like, you can judge that. Not that I'm, like, back now or anything.
No,
I just don't...
But you don't need to be that. But apparently Rupert Grint's even worse than you.
Rupert, I don't know the details of this at all, but Rupert ended up at somebody's house one night, just from, like, continuing to say yes to things. And they were like, hey, do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? And Rupert's like, yeah,
We've all been
sure.
there.
Like, Again, I feel bad saying this because I feel like someone's going to take advantage of that and just, like, ask him to, you know, he's going to be, like, the new Manchurian candidate or something.
Because sometimes people come up to you and they don't mean to be rude, but they can be quite rude, can't they?
Oh, yeah. I had at the premiere of, was it Suffragette? My wife's just been in a film. And I thought, if anybody calls out my name, I'll go and sign autographs. And as it happened, a few people signed, did, and I did that. And so this woman was screaming. She was, James, sign my thing, sign my thing. And I came over and she went, oh, thank you. I'm a really big fan of some of your work. I think, yeah. Thank you. I'll sign some of your posters. But that was a weird... And people are trying to be nice. They're trying to be, you know,
I think sometimes as well, there's a thing that people do where they, like... And it is very particular, particularly, like, young men with me want to do a thing where they want me to know that they don't give a about me, like, before they start asking for something. So they'll be like, didn't really like the Harry Potter movies, but can you sign this? And I was like, don't do that. Just say a nice thing. It's so easy.
I had one happen really recently at a fancy dress party where, and this is weird, right? Do you know that thing where some people make a list of famous people that they're allowed to have sex with if they meet them?
Oh, the free pass. The free
pass, right?
Yeah.
She called it an allowance. And I was like, what, like pocket money? How are you going to spend me? And so I met her and her fella, and then she came up and said, afterwards, she went, so you're my allowance? And I was like, I beg you, excuse me? And she went, you know, he's cool with it and you're my thing. And I was like,
He's not cool with it, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, that's a whole other story. And I was really sort of like taken aback by it, and I was like, I'm married, but thank you very much, it's very, very nice of you. And then she said this thing that was like, it was meant as a compliment, and she was trying to get me to do stuff, but it was still really backhanded. And she went, because, you know, a lot of girls would be after somebody like Channing Tatum. I was like, do you know what? You're not getting it.
I know that. Achievable goals.
Oh, well.
Because, Ryan, what was the thing you were recognised? Was it a honeymoon couple on a plane?
There were, yeah, there was a couple they were on a honeymoon, and the plane hadn't yet taken off, and the woman who had just gotten married just became violently and horribly ill on the plane. I mean, it was not like a pretty little, like, sick bag kind of thing. It was just like, I'm going to paint with my organs. Like, it was just crazy. And people were freaking out all over the plane, so they brought a stretcher down, and they put her on the stretcher, and they're wheeling her away, and, like, her new husband is just kind of cruising along with the thing, and he sees me, and he's like, Deadpool! No way! High five! And I'm like, I don't. What do you like? What has she got? Like, what's happening? I don't want to. Like he's like, let's touch eyeballs. He's like, no. Like, and by the way, your wife is like half dead. Help her, man. So it was just a very surreal moment. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're on their second anniversary now.
Yeah.
Just kicking it somewhere.
So the last time you were here, Jodie, you just become the doctor. So presumably now you're used to it. You're used to kind of because it's one of those things. Like you can't hide wherever you go. You are the doctor.
Like
Well, it's okay because these guys didn't know what Doctor Who was. I was really safe in their company.
Yeah, you could hide backstage.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, particularly in Britain. But weirdly, the show, you can't predict a demographic. It's all over the world, and so there isn't that thing where you go, oh, okay. So you know, I'm walking around this place. I don't need my hat, and then the oddest kind of moment will happen and you go, oh, maybe they recognise me. But if you're me, you have a slight narcissism where you think everyone's recognising you. And that's such an embarrassing thing happened to me yesterday on the tube. So I've obviously got, like... Oh, anyway, right, basically what happened was... So I was stood on Oxford Tube platform.
Yeah.
And I've always got, so you know, like a glass keep cup, you know, like rather than going to a coffee shop and getting a new cup, I carry a glass one that I then wash and re-get my latte. Yeah. And so I got my empty cup and I was just stood down and stuff, and an elderly gentleman was walking towards me on the platform. And I was just like, oh, God, I just want to get on the tube. I hate getting recognised. And he started to walk towards me, but then he had his arm out, and his arm came into my space. And on the tube, on the platform, it's crowded, and it's a bit... I don't know, I just got the kind of like, oh, what are you doing? A bit aggressive, unnecessarily. And actually, what he was doing was he went, oh, sorry, I thought you wanted money. And he was trying... And he was going to put 10p in the keep cup.
That is the greatest story.
I know, but I was like, yeah. Oh, God, oh, man. Oh. And I got on the tube and I just, like, sat there. And I was like, someone make eye contact so I can tell this story. I was, like, waiting for someone. And I was like, I've got a really good story.
Because, Dwayne, presumably, you can't hide. You can't put a hat on. You can't put a hat on that. I mean, but yet, I mean, I've seen you in a gym, like a public gym. So do you just get bothered all the time?
All the time. Yeah.
But how do you work out?
So anonymity's gone out the window.
But how do you work out in the gym if people are constantly coming up to you?
Just be nice, say hello, get them moving.
Get them moving. Lift them.
But fame is a funny thing, right? So that story for you, that will be like the constant anchoring reminder, right? Of like how cool fame is, but also never like...
I don't have the stress you have, though, because I think the thing is, if you are 5'6" and you've got a hat on and you're dressed like a most of the time, a teenage boy in a baseball cap. He's headphones on, head down. I catch the bus and the subway every single day because I'm not in anyone's eye line like that. But I imagine there is something about if you can't.
You're 7 feet tall.
Taller.
So yeah.
But Kevin's had weird. You've had weird fan characters.
Well, what happens if you're 3'2"? Like, how does that? How do you?
What are you talking about?
He's so rude.
Wait, no, how do you deal with that when you're
5'2",
that?
you know that.
Hey, look at everybody.
5'2".
I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry. So
I don't think. Well, first, there's two. We're skipping around some points here. First thing, she's saying she's dressed like a teenage boy. For somebody to put money in your cup, it's got to be a lot worse than that. Just be honest. Okay?
Put it in. The lid was on.
There's something within the appearance said, I need to help this person. Make sure they eat today. Something happened. For me, I mean, it's bad. And because I'm a big deal.
You get the guy followed. Was it in a restaurant where he followed you?
Oh my God! I had a guy actually follow me into the bathroom. This is a true story. I'm in the stall. You know, I gotta go. And you know, guy, while I'm in the bathroom, he's like, Kevin, can I get a picture? And I'm like, you know, because I'm obviously a very big guy. I stand up for myself immediately. I say, hey, not in here. You wait until I'm done. Okay? So you go outside. I take it with you when I get outside. And I go in the stall and close the door. And, you know, you would expect whoever that was to have left. They're gone. And I do what I gotta do. And it was one of those situations where I had to be in there for a while. And I'm in there. And, you know, literally, you know, when you get comfortable, you start to take your time. And I'm on my phone, I'm scrolling, it's a comfortable environment.
It's what you do at the mall.
That's it. I get done and I get out the stall and close the door.
No.
He's right there. He's like, man, you were in there for a while. He's like, can we get the picture? And I was like, I meant outside the bathroom, man. Get out the bathroom. I'm not taking a picture with you in the bathroom. But the fact that he stood there, very nicely the whole time, it made me feel obligated. And I was like, here, just come on, selfie, real quick. I was like, don't tell nobody you saw me in here this long.
He's been friends with Jason Statham ever since.
I mean, your career kind of came again through television. You were so young. You were 23 when you did your first series? 23. And so when you came straight out like that, it was a kind of a mixed reaction early on.
Yeah, because when I started The Naked Chef, cooking was for girls. And when we finished, cooking got you girls. And I think that was the kind of twist. And boys, yeah, fair enough.
It's still women clapping.
When I used to do demonstrations, it was all women. All women. And for the first couple of years, men hated me. You know, I got so much at you. And if you went past a building site, you know, forget it. I mean, it was awful.
What was their reaction? You shouldn't be in the kitchen making...
Because they got away with not cooking for too long, and they'd lost... you know, and I think...
You busted them.
And you got to remember, it was kind of quite sexist anyway. And, I went to an all-boys school. We never taught to cook. You know, but now the boys love to cook at school. So I think it was an interesting time, but also, you know, I even got chased down the street once. I literally had to do the 100-metre sprint in Covent Garden, and this massive lump got hold of me, and he put me up against the wall, and then and I thought, oh, God, and I sort of weighing up the chances of what I could do and how I'll get away, and I thought, well, if it ends up in a ruck, I'm probably going to lose. And then his face sort of changed and softened, and he said, if I'd have met you a month ago, I would have punched you in the head. But actually, I'm pretty good at cooking now, so thank you very much. And I was like... But, you know, typical bloke, right? So I was, relieved to walk away. I just wanted to get down to the tube station. And as I walked away, he went, and by the way, I'm better than you. But that was...
Here you are, you're back as Johnny English in this third movie. What about Mr. Bean now? Have you drawn a line under him? No more Mr. Bean?
I doubt that he will reappear, but you never know. You must never...
The people have spoken.
Yeah, quite quiet. But, you know, you must never say never again. A film, as Jeff mentioned, that I was in. So you must never say never. But, you know, there does come a point when you feel as though you've done most of what you want to do with him. So.
And because it's not based on language, because it's so physical, Mr. B, presumably it's popular everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It has what we might call a global outreach.
So, like, our holidays are misery. Can you go anywhere?
Well, yeah, I can't go to many places where you're not recognised. And it's the... yeah, the thing I find most tricky is when people don't recognise you particularly, but half recognise you. You know, it's that strange thing where they go... And, of course, that means they stare. They stare a lot. And they just look. You're sort of feeling, I wish that person wouldn't stare at me. So, you know, I'd rather just, you know, hold up a flag saying, yes. Yes, it's me. A few years ago, there was... I was in a Land Rover parts department near Peterborough, the kind of place you find me on most Saturdays. And we're waiting for car parts. And car parts, guys hang around a lot because, you know, to get a part, the guy has to go half a mile to the back of the warehouse and then come back again, and he brings it back. And he says, this is a left-hand one. Oh, you wanted a right-hand one? Sorry, I'll go. And back he goes, and it takes forever. Anyway, I was standing around with a group of guys, and I could see this guy doing that. And he came up to me after a while, and he said, excuse me, has anyone ever told you that you're the absolute spitting image of that Mr. Bean? And I said, well, actually, I am the actor who plays Mr. Bean. And he said, I bet you wish you were. And there followed this bizarre conversation in which the more I tried to claim that I was the person whom he thought I merely resembled, the less he believed me. So but what was funny was how close he thought I was to you know, he said the resemblance is uncanny. Have you ever thought of doing any, you know, look-alike work, like, you know, Stag Nights and Hen Nights? You know, you can go along as Mr. Bean. And I said, no, I haven't. He said, because you can make an absolute fortune. And I could tell after a while I had to bring the conversation to a close because clearly not only was he not believing me, but he was getting quite annoyed, you know, that I was pursuing this line of I am Rowan Atkinson and clearly he thought I was this total arse. Just because I happened to look a bit like Mr. Bean, goes around the country actually claiming to be Mr. Bean. You know, what a